What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I'm finally back from sitting up there having to go over film again because, you know, I need to say this before I start this video. No matter how many times NBA executives see something that's successful, they always follow the wrong level of success versus the right level of success. And what I mean by that is that for a while now, we've seen the Golden State Warriors win, and win off of three-point shooting, and win in incredible fashion due to three-point shooting. But for some reason, these NBA execs have gotten it in their minds that focusing on three-point specialists is a problem. And we're starting to see that more and more of these guys coming into the NBA are not top-level shooters. There were a lot of three-point specialist guys that did not get drafted in the draft. And I thought that was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen. But all these execs are now focusing on creating their own big three and not understanding that to create a big three is not all that it is when it comes to building a championship team. Right now, we have seen the incredible success of Golden State when it comes to having guys that can shoot them into games. How many times did we see Golden State down and watch this Steph Curry and Klay Thompson shoot them right back into the game? I mean, you're talking about there's times where in 4 possessions, Golden State is at 12 points while the other team is at 8. That's insane. That tells you the level of importance that it is to have guys who can shoot the three. And the fact that more executives isn't following that trend is absolutely amazing to me. So it's sad that we're seeing that in the NBA, the fact that there's so many GMs not following that particular trend. But man, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to me. But on to the Wizards. Y'all know from seeing my last video what I felt when it came to what the Wizards should have done in the draft. My thing was take the certified big man, because why? Those type of guys are never seen, and that type of talent is never around that often. So you have to sit up there and get a guy that can actually be something of importance when it comes to defense and rebounding, and a guy that knows his job. They had that opportunity to draft that guy in the first round, and they chose not to. Washington actually did the opposite of what I suggested. I suggested take the established big man and the developmental wing player or guard in the second round. Instead, they took the guy who's okay in the first round and then took a developmental big man in the second round. And I'm going to be honest, y'all. I mean, at some point, Tommy Shepard has to explain what is really happening here, because I don't see the success of Wes Unseld, because looking at some of the things that they did, none of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. Starting out with Johnny Davis. I did not like the Johnny Davis pick. And then when people started talking about him, I was like, wait a minute. this can't be the same guy that they're talking about. Because I heard people talking about he's this great ball handler. He can eventually become the point guard. He's really good and all this type of stuff. And I said, they can't be talking about the same guy who down the stretch of Wisconsin season was basically like a non-factor. Like, there was times where, and I was just like, this can't be the same guy. This cannot be the same guy that they're talking about. So I went back and went to watch these games, and yes, this is the guy. Because their big points guy is the guard, Brad Davison. I think his name is Brad Davison, but he's their big guy, their big points guy. But Johnny Davis was the guy who was basically like, I mean, he wasn't really a factor all like that. Like, down the stretch of Wisconsin season, he was averaging about, at the most, maybe 6 points, if that. And not only that, his game is so similar to KCP. So when they drafted him, the first thing I said was, dang, that's the guy that reminds me so much of KCP. And all of a sudden I said, let me hold off on talking about the draft because there must be a trade coming up. And that's exactly what happened. They traded away Ish Smith and KCP, and then in return to Denver, and in return got Monte Morris and Will Barton. Here's the crazy thing about that. You basically drafted KCP, traded KCP for KCP. Because all three of those, KCP, Will Barton, and Johnny Davis is practically the same guy. Will Barton is a little bit more aggressive when it comes to the defensive end of the ball, the defensive side, but he's still KCP. He's still KCP. He's not that consistent when it comes to playing and stuff like that. He'll get you buckets, but it's only on certain nights. And even with Monte Morris, like, even him, he's Taj Jones like. So that was not a bad pickup. It really wasn't. But to do what you did in this all season, it's sad. It's absolutely sad. You know, I, unlike a lot of other people, had no problem with picking up the Bradley Beal option, the Bradley Beal, or signing Bradley Beal to that max deal. I didn't have a problem with that because, understand this, who do you get to replace him? There's nobody out there willing to come to Washington to replace Bradley Beal. He is our best option. All we had for real for free agents was the mid-level exception. And even with that, like, we didn't really do much of anything with that as well. You know, it's insane to me at how Washington always seems to take the step back. You know, it's like we never sit up there and become the team that we're supposed to become, because every time you turn around, Tommy Shepard makes a move that doesn't make sense. Because let's be honest, he basically floundered away that Lakers trade. Because as much as we want to sit up here and act like he didn't do that, Montrezl Harrell was an absolute beat. The fact that Spencer Dinwiddie, Montrezl Harrell, and KCP along with Kyle Kuzma, the fact that that didn't work out makes absolutely no sense to me. None. Because that was a fantastic grab for one guy. Fantastic grab for one guy. You did everything to basically run Montrezl Harrell out the city. Basically ran Dinwiddie out the city. And now we're sitting here at a place where we don't even have enough assets on the team other than Kuzma that would be worth trading. But even with that, it would be stupid to trade Kuzma away. You're talking about we would have made this trade and basically reaped zero benefits from it. Zero benefits from it. And the fact that Tommy Shepard hasn't gotten better in wheeling and dealing. In fact, in my opinion, Tommy Shepard is worse than Ernie Grunfeld. At least with Ernie Grunfeld will see that he made a massive mistake and immediately find a way to correct it. Don't get me wrong. The Dinwiddie deal and bringing back Porzingis, that was kind of like an Ernie Grunfeld move. But the trade for KCP to Denver for Will Barton and Monte, that was, come on, y'all. Come on. I don't know what this team is going to do next year. I personally feel that they're going to probably be just as flaky as they were last year. Like I said, again, the big problem that they have is that they don't have enough three-point shooters that can consistently hit the three. Bradley Beal needs to go into the lab and break his butt, trying his best to get his three-point shot back the way it was early in his career. Because he needs to be that guy who can consistently hit that three. Because, like I said, they have too many guys on this team that they're too desperate to get all of them the ball without understanding that everybody doesn't need the ball. You don't need to give everybody the ball. Some people just don't need the ball like that. You have to sit up there and basically say, hey, look, check this. Brad is the man. Everybody else, y'all going to score, but not like that. Get the scoring from Bradley Beal. Get the scoring from Kyle Kuzma. Get the scoring from Porzingis. It would be nice if all three of them work on their three-point games so they can sit up there and actually be threats, especially later in games. Like I said, the fact that Golden State has shown success, genuine success, shooting themselves back into games and then taking leads and ending up winning games, shooting the three, that's what Washington needs to do. Like I said, that was my point of saying take a guy like Sasha Stepanovic. Take a guy like Kellen Grady. Take a guy like Caden Rice. Because these guys are basically role players that know that when they get out on that floor, their job is to shoot threes. Kispert, to me, not as consistent as you want him to be at three-point range. You know, Denny Avdia. I understand, again, it's not where you really want him to be. So, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I didn't like the draft by the Washington Wizards. I definitely give them a D for the draft. Now, I'm going to give him an F. I'm going to give him an F for the draft because, to me, I feel that when it comes to Johnny Davis, he's not going to get any better. That's my opinion. Because if I see KCP and Johnny Davis, then that means that already he's at his ceiling. That means that there's nothing that's going to get him across that glass ceiling. Nothing. Because at that point, you're talking about him and Will Barton are going to be basically fighting for time. And they're basically the same player. So, I don't know, y'all. I honestly don't know. I don't know where they go. I mean, Thomas Bryant is gone. And here's something else. And I need to say this because I need a lot of Washington fans to really understand what I mean by this. But Rui's time in Washington is over. In my personal opinion, it's been over. I was one of the people that's early on when they first drafted him said that Washington wasted a pick. I said that, and I'm not taking it back. I think they drafted him because the arena is right by Chinatown, and for some reason people thought that would bring more people to the game and all that type of stuff. But it's like, look, you also need a guy who has talent. You can't just bring him here and he's not that talented. And that's the thing with Rui. Rui isn't as talented as you want him to be. There is no getting better for Rui. Period. Like, he is what he's going to be. He's not going to all of a sudden excel or go higher or be more. None of that. What we see in Rui is what we're going to get in Rui. And that's all that it is. But to me, I feel that this should be Tommy Shepard's last season. I was one who did not want him hired as our general manager. My thing is, if you fire the original GM, the last thing you should do is hire his assistant. My personal opinion, but again, I just don't see it. Yeah, I think this has to be Tommy Shepard's last year, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. We're not a team that's going to be better. And even with that, we saw Charlotte leapfrog us, like jump higher again. They re-signed Miles Bridges, and they set up there and drafted Mark Williams. Smart. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all tell me what y'all really think of these moves that Washington made, because I didn't like the draft. Free agency didn't go as smooth as you wanted to. I mean, you basically log jammed yourself at wing and guard. Like that, it was no reason to do that. You know, so y'all tell me what y'all think. Maybe some of y'all got a better opinion of what y'all think about this this Wizards franchise. But for me, I feel that it's gonna be where it was last year. A team that's right on the bubble, and somehow 6 games out of last place for a playoff berth, and they're gonna probably pick 15th next year. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.